there's so many competing issues that we need to address. One, the first one of the goals here is provide affordable community. And the Oberg project embodied a strategy that we have been working on for a year and a half of how we were going to address several issues. One was income taxes for the school. It would have brought in high earners for the schools. It would have helped spread the tax burden. It would have helped the utility infrastructure because we would have had utility customers that will be paying in with little resources taken out for at least 10 years. Because once the roads go in, they're meant to be good for 10 years. Conduit, all those things. And we were touching on all of the Bowman housing needs assessment. So, I see the replicate homemade pocket neighborhood. We have that in the Oberg development. And I know, and I think it'll be unfair to put the criticism entirely on all council members, because 2 council members worked really hard along with us, and I think at times even jeopardize their political capital to get in the trenches with us to help accomplish something. So we went with that into the meeting with a lot of challenges, and from there we came out with a lot of good ideas, but more importantly, a framework to focus on the things that we have control of and do the things that we have been more influence over and do those things well. And what you're going to hear from us later is there's that framework. Working on things that we have more control over to ensure greater outcomes or better outcomes. Within that, there are also challenges that we need to address. Things are like workloads. This management team is very demanding of our workforce. I don't think that we're going to get more efficiencies out of our system than what we got. And I think that you'll see that from our outputs and outcomes, that we are a very successful administration. We make a lot of investments. We've made a lot of investments in infrastructure and community development, while also growing our cash reserves. We've done well in every regard. You look at where we are cash position. We passed the $10 million mark last year. So, we're doing well. We've done well. So this year, we needed to recenter, and we even came up with our own mission statement. And so I'll read that mission statement because this embodies our work. As an administration, we're committed to high-quality services for the well-being of our residents, to making the village a stronger, resilient community. And from there, that divides up the work into delivering quality of services and helping our community, making the village a stronger and resilient community. And a lot of the department heads and their goals roll up to those 2 areas of work. So that's, in a nutshell, I thought that was important to get out there.
Can I ask a question also? I've been involved with strategic planning efforts in the past where you have your mission statement, and then you have it broken down to more of a tactical perspective on things. Throughout the year, I'm just asking a question, I'm not making a request, I'm just wondering. Throughout the year, as efforts are completed or requests are made for support, would your team members identify, these high overarching goals as this is what I'm working towards, or this request checks that box? No, that's just a formality. I'm just asking, we have to be monitoring against the goals to that degree.
Yes, the short answer is yes. just about everything that we do rolls out to San Paul. There are things that we do that just need to be ongoing, but they factor into a goal too. So for example, our team is regularly mowing 70 acres of lawn. We need to maintain it. I think a lot of those spaces contribute to the well-being of our community. Gone Park, the John Bryanson. So while those are seem like just typical things, they are contributing in ways to the well-being of our community. That would be tied into the making the village a stronger, resilient community, because that well-being is important. You know, I don't know if you saw me frown when Johnny walked in. I wasn't frowning because he walked in, but because he's coming from dealing with a situation that today's the last day you wanna get that situation. Pumps are running, pool is filled, past inspection, and today, on the eve of when we're opening a pool, the wire to our pump burned out. Yeah, just now. And so, yeah, so, there are things like that, yeah, Johnny's probably pondering how he's gonna switch wires.
That's already done.
That's already done. All right. But,
Good work.
but, there are things like that are, they may seem like, oh, yeah, let's just change the wire, but hey, it's on the eve of the day before the pool opens, so.
Let me correct that. It's temporarily fixed until next Friday.
Okay.
But it's adequate, safe?
Exactly.
Okay.
So, things like that roll up, and yeah, we do it for a reason, why? The pool is, one of our employees asked, on Wednesday, yesterday, Wednesday, we had an employee recently resign, and we went out to the farm to have a meeting with the public works team, hear the grievances. And it's almost like we're overworked, unappreciated, underpaid, and, all these things. And one of the things that came up was, hey, the pool's losing money, why don't we just close the pool? Our pool's never meant to make money. For me, it's an important community development piece. So when we talk about equity, the pool is the vehicle to bring in equity, building equity in a community. Particularly in the historical context of public pools throughout this country. Once one of the net effects of integration led to pools being filled up with concrete. So I'm particularly aware of a lot of those issues, and try to use the resources as ways that contribute. That's a long-winded answer to that. Yes, they roll up to these goals.
Yeah, but if you don't mind, I'll piggyback, just because Johnny's here, and so last Friday, this is not a big deal. Last Friday, I was at a social gathering, and someone started asking me, Marianne Tree, I can't think of, Jennifer is her name, she's an artist, Chad. Yes. She was talking about mowing frequency for certain places and what's better, and I said, hey, I'll pass it on. And I thought maybe she should talk to the Environmental Commission about some of her ideas, and that's why I asked you about mowing at the solar fields. The owner takes responsibility for that, but just to let you know that somebody's, apparently maybe some idea will come up soon that we have to sort of strategically decide where it's okay to mow less from an environmental perspective. And again, I don't know how far to go, but I just thought I'd springboard off that because you mentioned mowing.
Yeah, and there's some things that I try to be the gatekeeper of and try to get better at being gatekeeper of, because there are some ideas that, I'll listen to them and say, well, that's a great idea, very thoughtful, very insightful, but a lot of them are not based on, they're not feasible. When people were complaining about limestone and sidewalks, I had a very respectable member of the community come to me and said, I got the perfect solution. Make limestone one way, everyone's problems are solved, you don't have to cut anyone's honeysuckle, you get a sidewalk and you get a full lane of traffic.
In another universe.
Yeah, so, you know, there are things like that, am I gonna, you know, take it and say, Johnny, investigate this, run this through choice one, and see the engineering of it? No. No, we're just, so, I appreciate the feedback of somebody suggesting a different way of mowing around the solar farm at Glass Farm. Sounds well intentioned, I love it, however, it's not within our area of work, because it's by contract, AEP has responsibility for that. They are responsible to ensuring the capacity of that field and the power of that field to us. We pay for it, it's done. So,
And the other thing is, it's got a foot and a half of water laying in it from April rains.
yes, true, it's so.
That's the reason why the solar field was put where it is, because of the topography of the land. That's the wettest part of Glass Farm.
Okay, I didn't know that.
And somebody didn't want to disturb the mallard ducks.
There's always,
So I have a question about this. You know, we've had this conversation about what is capacity, how much money, how much time, who's involved in completing what projects. And my question as you're talking about these things is, what rises to the level of actually getting on the radar that is anywhere past the manager? To me, if Public Works is charged with mowing and maintaining parks, then that is what they do. And if somebody decides it ought to be done differently, that starts and ends with the village manager.
Mhm.
And if he says, well, yeah, that's just not feasible, we're not doing it, then it ends right there. But what happens is it becomes a community-wide issue, everyone's discussing it, it comes to council, a commission takes it up, now it is a hard left turn, and there's money and time and effort, and you have staff on this side going, we told you we did it this way because we have to do it that way. Yet we've spent months and months, and that happens on many of these things. So I feel like if council were to say, this is our benchmark, if it doesn't rise past this level, the manager handles it. If it rises past this level, goes to a commission, we get involved, it might become, you know, a citizen review board issue, because we've determined that we want it to come above this particular level. But I just see that as a major time suck and a major morale suck for staff on a regular basis. So I just said it, it's out there, you can not deal with it, but I believe it exists.
I was thinking about what you said about your retreat, and sounded like there was some things that needed, some emotionality that needed to be aired, whether people were feeling overworked or underappreciated or whatever. And this particular example, that we're not together as a group very often. And so even though I know we want to talk about specific actionable items, it also is an opportunity for council to hear from staff about, are there things you would like council to be doing that we aren't doing, or things that council is doing that you wish we weren't doing, or just what your experience of being on staff is like right now, and things that maybe we should, that would be good for council members to know. Just putting that out there.
Folks, speak up freely.
I don't know if you want to be freely or not.
I mean, I think there's some level of openness that we need to have, even if it comes at the risk of, I said, none of you guys are losing your job. The only one that can lose their job right now would be me. And so I think that you guys, I know a lot of times I don't say things just because I don't want to rock the boat, or, you know, if my contract hasn't been approved, it's expired June 13. So there are a lot of things that we.
I'm 22.
Yes, that's less than 30 days. So I think there's a level of openness that we need to be, because it affects how we deal with each other and how we approach certain projects. So a good example, you know, I I've had to this year address my Laura Curlis PTSD, right? You know, because I felt that Laura Curlis was out to get me. She said it to multiple individuals that, hey, she didn't want, right? She told that to myself, she's talked about me in meetings, and, you know, somehow Mary Ann, Brian, and myself had a band going, or a show going. So, you know, I had to address that this year. I know that there are things that have bothered me that have come out from certain councils that I haven't addressed, and some that I haven't really, you know, that I don't know how much to address, right? Like hearing from folks that I may have overstocked, and that's why I was pushing forward, like, that's incredibly offensive to me. You know, but I need to move on. There are other things that have bearing and that affects our work, and I just need to address it. I think, probably if I could ask for this council for this particular year, is that we're looking at things that are shaping our community